everyone, welcome back to Our Place. We are continuing to talk about school, IEPs, and options for your kids. We have Malone today, who is a special education preschool teacher. She's been a preschool teacher for 5 years. Not only is she a great teacher, but a friend of mine. I've known her for a long time. So Allie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So we have interviewed a bunch of people and talked to a lot of people about, that middle school and high school age and everything, but preschool, not a topic that is widely discussed in this community. And there are options out there for parents who have children with disabilities in the preschool range and area. So tell us a little bit about your classroom, the school system that you're in, what your class looks like, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I am a small group special needs preschool teacher. This just means that there's different categories that students can go to school for at the age of 3 to 5. Mine is right under general education. So typically students would go to like a preschool in a church-based setting or a Georgia pre-K. If they're having a hard time with that, or if they already have needs that have been identified, then they come to my class, which would be the next step of interventions. So It's a smaller group, smaller student to teacher ratio, more intensive instruction, and it's more individualized for the students.
And is it offered like widely, or is it like something that a parent would have a hard time finding?
Yeah, so for Georgia, they would reach out to either Babies Can't Wait or to their doctor, who would refer them to a diagnostician. I believe this is all of Georgia. I know it's all of Cobb County. But they would go through an evaluation process, which means we'll get information from the parents. We would get information from a teacher if they're currently in school. And then they'll go through a series of evaluations in the cognitive or like an academic area, social, emotional, adaptive, and motor. So how they're functioning, like wise and in the classroom. And then also, forgetting one, communication.
Okay. So you really are you're probably seeing quite a few students that might be coming right off of a diagnosis. Like this might be the first big step for them and the first big step for the parents.
Yeah, actually, a lot of my students, they don't even make it to the preschool setting. Their parents have realized between birth through age 3 that they're not quite meeting the expectations like their siblings or their friends around them. So they'll talk to their doctor, and then once they're referred, they come instantly to my classroom. So I read them the evaluation scores as the case manager.
Okay. And what is a day? Is it a typical school day? Is it a typical like preschool day? Because I know sometimes that's till like noon. So what's the time that they're in your classroom?
It actually changed this year. It used to be that it could be a morning setting, it could be an afternoon setting, it could be all day. But this year they decided that students who are receiving special education services require that full amount of time to work on their needs. So my students come to school at 7:20 with the rest of the school, and they stay all the way until 2:10.
7:20. Oh my gosh, it starts so early now.
Right. They get on the bus at like 6 in the morning. These little guys are tired by the end of the day. But we have enough time to work on all their needs.
Okay. And then from your classroom, are they rolling into kindergarten, or are they there for multiple years?
So we call it the least restrictive environment. So our goal is to get them back into general education. This could be without services, or this could be with minimal services. It actually is a very wide range. So our goal is general education, and they'll be in my classroom typically 2 years. If we feel they're ready for general education, we'll kind of ease into that transition. But if they're showing that they wouldn't make progress in that setting, then they'll move to another special needs, we call them units. So another small group classroom or whatever the best fit was for them.
Okay.
But the goal is general education.
So I think it's so encouraging because, I personally am going through looking at preschools for my own child right now. And very, like, fortunately, there's a lot of options. And I think you
Mhm.
see families who have kids with disabilities, especially young kids, and especially kids that are just diagnosed, that they're going, well, I can't put them in the church setting, and I can't, like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know where to go. So for those families, would you say the best place to start is with Babies Can't Wait?
Yes. So if their child, I would always recommend if your child's between 0 and 3, Google Babies Can't Wait. It'll take you to their website and they'll walk you step by step through the process of how to get an evaluation going. If your student or not student, if your child is already in like a school setting, or if they're already 4 and you're just looking for a school setting, I would reach out to their doctor because once they're over the age of 3, Babies Can't Wait no longer applies to them.
Okay. And I think too, the important thing, so, because I think some families don't know this, evaluations are going to be a part of your life now. And we've talked about that. We have an interview with Dr. Brandy Tanner, who does evaluations and reevaluations. And the good thing about it is if you get it done at a young age when they're in your classroom, you probably can get the application done for the Katie Beckett waiver pretty early. I don't know what age it starts, and I'll follow up to make sure I have the answer for that. But I know once you're in that elementary school through high school age, you can get allocated government funding through the Katie Beckett waiver. So it's good that you can get that evaluation done early. Um, okay, so
Sorry.
so let's talk about the class itself. I mean, every parent has the moment, whether your child has a disability or doesn't have a disability, where they are going, is my child ready? I don't know if my child's ready for school. And you know what? Most of the time, it's probably us. It's probably the parents that aren't ready to send our babies off yet.
That is what I tell all of them. I'm like, your child's gonna be just fine. They'll cry for a moment, but we're really here to console you guys. You guys
Yeah.
are time.
So tell us a little bit about, in your experience, like how you've seen your students thrive by being in a classroom environment, and what skills you've seen them learn.
Yeah, so my classroom, we try and keep it really similar to the general education setting. So we still have math, writing, social studies, science. We get together for calendar, things like that. But then because it's such a small group, I can kind of cater to the individual needs of my students. So let's say a lot of my students are still working on potty training. So normally kids would just go to the bathroom on their own, make it really quick. We might stop our day and read a story about how to use the bathroom. Then as a class, we will walk and we'll practice how to sit and wait for your turn in the bathroom. And then the teacher will be able to go into the bathroom and like walk them step by step, showing visuals, giving verbal prompting. It's a typical preschool setting and curriculum. It's just a lot more simplified to the needs of each student.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm pretty sure every mom is now gonna go, I'm gonna send my child to preschool because you'll potty train them.
Yes, we get that a lot.
Um, so talking about, because we've also discussed this a lot, IEPs. So we know IEPs come up a lot in the public school system. And I mean, honestly, I don't know, do they start when they're at the age where they're in your classroom, or do you help in that stage at all? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so the moment they start special education services, they automatically have to have an IEP. These we will update annually, if not sooner. So say they're not making progress or the parents have concerns, or the teachers will hold a meeting with all of the IEP team, and we can edit it as we go. That being said, every student in special education will have an IEP and it will be updated each year.
Okay.
Since they're coming from the evaluation, I read through the evaluation scores with the parent, and then we sit down as a team and we write the IEP together.
So you're the first IEP.
Yes,
Wow.
ma'am.
That is a lot of work and probably very overwhelming for you and the parents who are.
I actually love it because we're starting at the base. Like we say this is the biggest need, this is where we want to start, and all the teachers just keep building on it. And once the student has made enough progress, then we can say, oh, we don't need that goal anymore. We'll work on something else.
Any advice to parents who are just now starting to go through the IEP process? Because I know that that can be extremely overwhelming as well.
I was about to say the same thing. It is very overwhelming. So a lot of these scores look scary. A lot of the words they sound a lot scarier than they are. But keep in mind that these teachers just want the best for your child. And we need you to speak up as well. So like if we're reading through the evaluation and it says, this student wasn't able to throw a ball, and you've seen that at home, speak up. We want your input. That way we can help make sure that everything is actually for your child and very specific.
Yeah.
Kids, when they go through the evaluation, they're with someone they don't know. They're in a room that they don't know. They're being taken away from their mommy and daddy for a few hours.
Yeah.
Might not see the full picture.
Yeah.
So just speak up.
So when you think of options for these families, because I think that the big thing is everyone feels like they have such limited options. And in some cases, unfortunately, that's extremely true. And hopefully that changes. But when you think of a parent who might have a 3 or 4-year-old and they're wondering if preschool is an option, the church, like we said, the church programs that most kids are going to, or most parents are easily accessing, might not be an option for them. So outside of the public school system and going to Babies Can't Wait, are there other options for these families? Like, are there specific preschools that are just for special education if they wanted to go like the private school route, for example?
Yeah, so if your child has a diagnosis already, like say they went to the doctor and the doctor gave them that autism diagnosis, they do have schools that are specified for specific disabilities. Outside of like that general education setting that we talked about earlier, they would really need to have that evaluation done because they need the special education services and IEP to access most of the other options, such as the small group, like my classroom.
Yeah.
2 teachers to 16 students. There is homebound. So if the doctor says that the student isn't medically able to come into the school, a teacher can actually come to your house.
Wow.
That evaluation. There are, again, separate schools based on disabilities. There's residential options, which sounds very scary at 3 years old to send your child to a school that they would stay at, but there are other options.
Okay. So I think that's what I think we really want all of our families to know is there are options. And if you are personally struggling to find options, whether it be school or services or whatever that is, please reach out to us because we want to help you guys locate and find the options that are around you. So I know that you are in Cobb County and you're at a specific school at Cobb County. If you say somebody is in Cobb County, but maybe they're not districted for your school, are you guys the only school in the county that provides this program, or are there other options within that county and even outside of that county?
That's actually a really great question because that comes up all the time. Say you live in Marietta City, but you wanted your child to be in a Cobb County school. If they qualify for special education services, they would have to have a Cobb County IEP. So even if they have one for Marietta City, it would be transferred to the other county and we would hold what's called an out of district IEP, where the new county decides, yes, we agree with all this and we want to keep the IEP, or no, we want to make some changes. We're going to go through the IEP process again.
But transportation. So if somebody is living in Marietta, is there a public school in Marietta that offers special education services that might be closer to their home? And if not, is transportation provided?
Yes. So all counties will have their own special education classes. I can't speak for the other counties to know if they're housed in a public school or like a setting. For Cobb County, it's always in the elementary public schools. Unless it's one of those specified schools. But we will offer transportation if they qualify for it. So based on their needs, which most children at 3-year-old will have communication needs because they're just learning to talk. So that alone would be enough for them to be on the special education bus, where they would receive a 5-point star car seat, and they will have
Wow,
a bus. Like we give all the accommodations.
that's awesome.
As long as they qualify for it.
Okay.
Too.
So, what advice would you give to parents who are starting to think about, do I want to send my child to preschool? They're feeling nervous, trying to decide if it's the right decision for them and their child. What advice would you give to those parents?
Let's see. I recommend the more support, the better. So go through that evaluation process, and at least that way you have the information about your child of what they might need to work on before they go into the school setting. In preschool, attendance is not mandatory. So even if they qualify for 5 days a week, you could send them 2 to 3 days, because even that would help them.
Yeah.
Here, I recommend the full 5 because I want to give those kids as much support as they can possibly get. But it's really all about the parents' comfort level in the preschool setting.
Could transition to the 5, like start with
Exactly.
2, maybe go up from there. Okay, well, thank you, Allie, so much. I think, this community has provided resources so much in school age, but people, I don't even think that, school starts at 3-4 years old, preschool age, and it's not really talked about. So thank you so much for just providing your perspective and educating parents that preschool is an option and there are a lot of options. Head over to Babies Can't Wait. We'll make sure to link it on our website because that's a good way to start. And if you have any questions for Allie or need help finding a school or services, don't forget to register an account, reach out to us, and we will definitely get back to you with those requests. But Allie, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
See you guys next time at our place.